This is an incoming transmission from the Jersey Shore.
This is Financial Insanity with Scott McLean, powered by McLean Advisory Group. Today you'll hear some of the most important financial information and wealth-building techniques available anywhere.
Let's get this party started, huh?
Do you have a question for Scott and the team?
Am I on the air?
609-488-4646. That's 609-488-4646.
We'll get that information to them by radio.
Now, Financial Insanity with Scott McLean.
As technology increases, well, so unfortunately does cybercrime. And today, we're going to arm you with some knowledge to help shield your life's work, your savings, and your identity. I'm Alex Dingman. This is Financial Insanity. And I'm next to, as always, Scott McLean, McLean Advisory Group. Scott, it is great to see you, my friend. And
you too, buddy.
This is important stuff, man. These scams, we know, are out there, and it just gets worse every year.
It's bad. I'm so glad if you're listening right now, I hope you don't just turn your brain off, but turn it on, because these thieves, they come in the daytime, they come at night, they never stop coming to get your hard-earned dollars. So Alex, let's talk about several different issues. It's really ticking me off, because these people that are grabbing your bank accounts, calling for scams, I'm going to give you some illustrations. I want you to be aware, and it saddens my heart that several of our clients have gotten involved, and I'm going to give you some stories that are real, and I want to help you avoid that. Whether you're working with McLean Advisory Group or not, you need to make this stuff real. So, Alex, what do you got? What have you heard about? I mean, this is amazing stuff.
Well, and because the stuff is out there, and there's no point in fighting it. It does exist, and so then it's all about, okay, how are you going to protect yourself? It's going to happen. There is going to be cybercrime. There's always been crime, and then as technology increases, cybercrime comes into the fold. And you know, there's some definitely some things that people can do, though, Scott, and one of those things is around their passwords. Can you give people any advice in regards to passwords, Scott?
You know, I found myself making the same mistake. Passwords seem to be the same. So you kind of want to make sure you have your passwords. I use a thing called LastPass. I'm not encouraging you to buy it, but I bought it. I'm using it. It saves a ton of different passwords with one place. Now, Google has their own password protection. Yeah. Then, of course, a lot of our clients, they have their notebook and notepad, and they keep it there for their kids in case they need it. So whatever system you have a system, but don't use the same password for every account. And it's got to be pretty crazy. For example, if I were to put my name, because I know my name is SCOTT, I might put a S as a $, C as maybe a little C with an asterisk. O would be maybe an @ sign or O. T might be the capital T, small t, and maybe I'll put some numbers involved, asterisk 1, 2, and then 3 with the $. Something weird that you can remember what it is, and then, of course, write it down in your notebook or get a LastPass type of system, Google, but save these. It's really important. This is critical. Some weird numbers, weird calculations. I mean, and if you have to change it. So you guys got to have a change your passwords.
That's good advice. And the number, if you have any questions, 609-488-4646, 609-488-4646. And I know my company, they just gave us some recent advice about maybe use song lyrics, because that's the kind of thing that would be
beautiful. That'd
be super hard for anyone to guess, because it's not anything that's real particular to you. So, you know, just think of a song.
Even smarter than mine.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Well, that's, we're here for each other, Scott. We build each other up, my friend.
That's because you young kids know how to get around us old dogs.
Yeah. Well, it's important to, hey, you teach me stuff, I teach you stuff, old and new. It definitely comes together and create something beautiful. But, the great thing is too, Scott, if people are suspicious, because one thing is these companies are never going to straight ask you for your password. Now, when you log in, yes, but as far as calling you or texting you for a password, that will not happen. And I know one key thing here, Scott, is just simply asking a person who's calling, when's the last time I called you? And that's something that can really, throw off. Just don't always just be, and unfortunately, you got to be a little suspicious. And this is just about protecting yourself.
That's so true. It's, I mean, just today, this morning, I'm at the office around 6:30. I'm making some calls to some clients, but some vendors I was working with. I told them I'd call them early in the morning because they're overseas working with another project I'm working on. And it's funny because I got a call, a text on my machine. Please call me right now. This is about your checking account or credit card account. So I said, well, wow, that's pretty different. So I called in the middle of one of my follow-ups, and I call, who's this? Well, this is Mr. with a foreign accent. I won't be foreign accent because I don't want to insult anybody, but a major foreign accent overseas, and they say some things. And okay, great. Just like you said, when did you call me last? Well, they say, yeah, we spoke last week about your let's say website. We wanted to update it, and I need to get into your website. I'm with Microsoft. I need to get into your website because I see there's a problem. Really, what kind of problem? So I'm going to have a conversation real quick.
Yep.
I know it's a fake deal. If your gut tells you it's a fake deal, it's probably a fake deal. If your gut's telling you, I've never heard this before, don't go along with it. The longer they keep you on the phone, the more they win. If they keep you on the phone, the more they win because they're sucking your brain into it. Maybe this could be like a client that fell into that trap. And I can tell you, I'll give that story in a second. When they fell into the trap, they found out that their grandson was in a car accident, and it could be a dead child. This woman got in a car accident. Called my client, which was the grandfather, and they said, hey, Mr. M, we'll just say Mr. M, this is fake name, let's say Juan. And the reason I'm calling is because your grandson got in a car accident. I don't want you to call anybody. I'd like to settle this right now for $25,000. I will come by your house and pick up $5,000 now. Apparently, the woman had a child in her, and looks like the child will not survive. But your grandson caused the accident. Well, Mr. M, my client, got involved. Now, I've known Mr. M for over 15 years.
Yeah.
He gave him the $5,000, but owed him $20,000. $20,000. But they went to his house. I couldn't even believe this crap. So Mr. M said, okay, I won't tell anybody what's going on. Bottom line, Mr. M calls me and says, Scott, my wife and I are coming down there. I need to pull out $20,000. I said, okay, great. By the way, what is it for? And can I help you? Because nope, I need to have it. Mr. M, I've never heard your voice sound like this before. What's going on? Nothing, Scott. I just need the money. I just need to take it now. I said, how long will it take? I said, it'll take about 3 days to get your money in your hand. Okay, great. Can you process it for me? Yes, I'll tell you what. You need to come in and sign some paperwork. Will you come in? I'll come in right away. He came in right away with his wife, reading their body language. And I've, been in the business for now, 40 plus years, and watching their fear. Tell me what's going on. No, Scott, I'm not allowed to. Oh, you're not allowed to. Why? Well, because I just have to get the money to pay some kind of expense I have to pay. He wasn't telling me.
Yeah.
I've known this guy. He goes to our church. I've known him for years. Everybody knows him. Wonderful, warm guy. And he's saying, Scott, I have to have the money. Finally pulled it out of him. Apparently, I said, did you call the police that your grandson got in a car accident going to the prom and this woman got hurt? He goes, no. I said, well, let's call your son, the father of your grandson. No, I can't call my son. I'm not supposed to tell anybody. Mr. M, we are going to call your son. We are going to call him right now. I'm not going to give you the money. I now have to have my fiduciary responsibility. Either I give you the money and you cannot become a client, or we have to call your son. We called the son and said, by the way, and I was taking care of the call. This is Scott, and I got Mr. M, your dad, on the phone. By the way, and Mr. M, I didn't want him to say a word, and I told him that before the phone call. Mr. M, to the son. By the way, how's your son doing? Did he have fun last night? What did he do? Oh, sure. He came back. Him and his friends went out to play pool with a bunch of friends, and they came back. So he came back. He's fine. No car accidents. Why, Scott? Just want to know if he had a car accident. No, he's fine. You should have seen Mr. and Mrs. M.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're out there, IRS, by the way, real quick sidebar, they're not going to call you.
Nope.
Whether it's tax season or not. By the way, if it's a firm that's going to be asking for your password, they're not going to ask for your password. If it's somebody that's saying, look, you owe money, we need to get into your computer, don't do it. This subject today, Alex and I were talking about it, is the theft. These guys and gals are smart. The longer you stay on the phone, the more are you in quicksand, and you're going to find yourself buying their bull stuff.
Yep.
You're going to find your bought this bull stuff. Keep it clean on the radio. And if you're out there and if you've been a victim, and I've had several clients victim, and they ask me, Scott, what do I do now? How do we handle it? Well, I'm so glad our clients lean on us. But there's sometimes you just can't get the money back. If you're even entertaining it, wipe it from your brain. That's where the devil gets is a leg on your brain, and now you're going to buy into these stories as Mr. M did. And thank goodness all he lost was $5,000. And unfortunately, we called the other people in the neighborhood to see if there's cameras to see if we could have a license plate, but there was none. By the way, guys, they are smart. Don't follow the crowd thinking they're dumb. They're brilliant. Save your money. I can tell you the scams are going to get much worse.
Yep. Well, and that's why Scott and his team, they're here to help you in any facet when it comes to your finances, when it comes to your long-term planning. And this is the kind of thing that, you talked about that story, Scott. You're a great advocate for your folks. You're going to be there. You're going to be listening. You're going to be questioning. And it's all about looking out for folks. And one of those areas is helping to avoid scams. The number 609-488-4646. Again, that number 609-488-4646. And if you ever do have any questions, you're concerned, this email doesn't look right, this number, hey, I've just won the sweepstakes, but all I have to do is pay this little fee. Doesn't that sound great, Scott? If there's anything significant or something that may sound just a little weird, then don't take it at face value. Give Scott and his team a call. 609-488-4646. Good stuff. We will talk more and more about scams and other ways that we can help protect folks. But right now, we're going to take a pause. This is Financial Insanity.
Stop for a moment and think about this. Do you know how much money in your 401k or IRA is actually yours? Or will the government take a bigger chunk than you thought? Remember, you still might owe taxes on that money, but do you have a plan to help make sure you don't pay more than you should? At McLean Advisory Group, we believe you deserve to keep more of what you've earned, which is why we're here to help you navigate the confusing world of retirement taxes. It's your money. You deserve to know what's at stake. Right now, taxes are historically low, but they won't be this low forever. So call the McLean Advisory Group team today so you don't miss out on this opportunity. 609-488-4646. That's 609-488-4646. You work hard for your money, and we'll work just as hard to help you keep it. McLean Advisory Group, 609-488-4646. Investment advisory services offered through Sound Income Strategies, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisory firm. McLean Tax Advisory Group and Sound Income Strategies are not associated entities.
Get all this stuff and you try to put it away like these hoarders on TV. It has an emotional attachment.
So, Scott, you're saying I don't have to keep every single drawing that my son has done? You're saying I could throw some of that away?
The answer is yes. You can take a picture, then throw it out.
This is Financial Insanity with Scott McLean, presented by McLean Advisory Group.
Well, it's been true forever. Women statistically outliving men. Now it's by about 6 years. So there's going to be a lot of wives out there outliving their husbands in retirement. It means a lot of women suddenly taking over their own finances for what may be the first time in their lives. And can be confusing, could be scary for anybody. And we're going to talk about this today Alex Dingman here alongside Scott McLean, McLean Advisory Group right here in Waretown and serving Jersey Shore area. And Scott, you know this, obviously dealing with folks over the years, and it's a scenario you see, unfortunately, played out quite often, I'm sure.
I go back to Adam and Eve. I mean, she's the one who handed him the apple, and she took a bite first. So the payment was childbirth pain, and you got to live longer than the guys.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just kind of added that in there. You know, women are living a lot longer. Statistically, it's real. You see more women out there that are retired with their lovely husbands. They come in, they meet with us, they meet with other advisors, and pretty much usually this is not being any bias at all. But the man usually asks the question. What I love is when I try to get a woman engaged, because inevitably, like my mom, she will be the last one on the Richter scale,
sure,
around the ropes, handling things. Usually, this is not. Again, please don't send me hate letters, or if you're woke, please don't cuss at me. I'm just saying, in my line of business, I want to be real clear because women need to know how certain investments work. And what I noticed many times, as my mama did, is Daddy handled the bills. My dad handed my mom the bills and said, Joan, I want you to take care of this. And Mom was doing the bills, and she came and questioned my father. What Daddy say? Well, you're handling them. Wait a minute. Whoa. We need to work together. You see, what I find so many times when I work with families, whether they're married and the husband and wife comes in, or maybe it's a partnership. A couple lovely ladies, a couple lovely men, and they need to put, one is usually more financially literate than the other. That's just usually how it happens. But the challenge is when one passes away, how do we change things? And what decisions need to be made? And this is where the wolves in sheep clothing come out to confuse, to change things around, to make themselves look wonderful, just to get a sale. And then they get a sale and they're gone. Let me help you out. This is where you need to understand how certain products work, and you can dummy it down. That's why when I put it in my book, The Three Blind Mice, how the financial planning process leads your money to a mousetrap. The reason I put that in there is because people can get confused of income sources versus growth sources. And I usually want people to understand, when you're running the bills, what do you need on a monthly basis? Will you outlive your money? Will you live on cat food? I hear all the time, Scott, I don't want to live on cat food if my husband dies or my wife dies. What happens on the pension options? I see people picking pension options without considering all the options on the table, and they choose the highest pension option, leaving the spouse with 50% or zero, not knowing that the Social Security is going to be taken off one side or the other, and they're going to have a lower income. So we need to plan a couple different ways, Alex. Both living, but with that in mind, who's going to die first? And you play a scenario. Let's say the spouse and then the other spouse. We have two people, let's say husband and wife. And if your partnership is two partners, okay, I don't want to pick on either side. And so one of your partners or spouses dies, leaving the other one there. You lose the Social Security benefit. And if it's a pension option and you chose a 100% option, nothing to your spouse, well, then we have a problem. Or 50%. So this is going to change the dynamics drastically. Maybe you need to be thinking about a reverse mortgage. Now, don't scream. I hear somebody out saying, oh, I can't believe he said that. Don't say the reverse mortgage. Whoa, time out, cuz. For some people, it could be a lifesaver. I'm not pushing either one because I don't sell them, but I do know them. I was a mortgage broker licensed at one time, and I can tell you it could be a really very wonderful tool for a limited amount of people. So again, when we look at income, both husband and wife, both partners, if you're just dating a new person, you're all fixing living together, okay, we need to talk about those situations and what if and where and what situation comes up. And so, Alex, you're out there and this is you. And maybe you have some questions. Alex, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but I would love you to give us a call at our studios. And Bonnie will make a time for us to speak to, 5 or 10, 15 minutes off the air. No cost, no obligation. just as our give back in the McLean Advisory for so many years here in Waretown, New Jersey. Heck, I've been doing this business since 1982, licensed in 83, so right here in Ocean County. And I can tell you, if you have questions, we have answers. And if I don't have an answer, I'll be humble. I will find answers. I know a lot of people. I can promise you that. So please don't put this and hide this under your pillow and you'll get to it later. That's procrastination is the disease of ease. Please don't let that be in there. We all have the disease of ease. We all know working out and going to the gym is good for you. But do you do it? The disease of ease. Give us a call off the air if you'd like to speak to me. I'd love to speak to you. 609-488-4646. And if you don't like me, why don't you ask for George? He's a younger guy, so he hears the same thing. George is a great advisor, CFP, and been with our firm for many, many years. 609-488-4646. I'd love to help you. I promise you, you'll get some great information.
Focusing on retirement challenges for women today. And Scott, let's start with some of the differences that you've noticed over the years between how men and women approach retirement planning. And obviously, this is all general, but what things do men tend to be concerned about in planning for retirement? Focus on the men first.
Men are wonderful. They, if they love their wife or partner, they want to make sure they're solid, they're safe. They want to make sure that if they pass away, they've got a great income. But with that in mind, they now have to look at the rest of the story. Isn't that what Paul Harvey said? Let's look at the full story. So they really want to captivate. They love their sweetie pie or honey bun or whatever you call it. And they want to make sure they're buttoned up nice and tight. But when you're shifting from the growth investments to the income investments, that is a new dichotomy. It's a new change in your brain. And it's very hard for people to understand that. So they need to understand how the investment tools work. Both partners or spouses do. On top of that, the husband wants to make a quick decision, but the women, what I've noticed, Alex, they are really paying attention to the words coming out of that financial advisor's mouth. And are they real? They have real good discernment. So this is why when I meet with people, I love meeting with both husband and wife, because the husband may have a lot of great, super questions, but the wife is looking at the advisor maybe totally different. And this is why it's so good. And by the way, if you're single out there, I encourage you, when I meet with people, maybe you bring in your son or your daughter or your sister or brother. Bring in another set of ears. Don't go it alone. This is not a game of do it over because you have one retirement. That's it. So this is an area you cannot make big mistakes. And that's why people call us. They want to meet with me off the air or on the air. They say, Scott, what about this investment? How does this work for me? And my husband said I did this and he set everything up. He knows everything. He did a great job. But you know what? Looking at it with a different set of eyes is critical because he might be more aggressive than some of you women out there. And more women are more conservative. That's how God made you. That's just the way it is. Almost when you're having a baby, you have the instincts of getting the bedroom ready, getting the nursery ready, getting everything else ready. Where the husband's out there, I got to make money. I got to make money. I got to take care of this. So we both have our brain going crazy. You need to talk to your sweetie pie and let's get together. And when you have these questions, write them down. This is so important. 609-488-4646. Write that down. 609-488-4646. If you've got questions, let me help you. Let me try to guide you. Doesn't mean you have to work with me, but if you got a couple questions, you want to call me off the air, Bonnie will make a way for us to speak. I can tell you this is really important when you're planning your retirement, or maybe you're heading into retirement and you need some game plan. Give our studios a call, 609-488-4646. But that's about men. They want to, their job is to go out and kill the deer and skin them. And the wife's job is, or the spouse's job is to clean them. That's the men. But what about women? They're different, Alex.
Yeah. And what about the women, Scott? What do they seem to be more concerned about when you meet with folks when it comes to retirement? Went over the men. What about the women?
I love the women because, they are more conservative. They have the brain of, I don't want to make 20%. I like to make steady. I'm the tortoise and the hare. She or the partner is going to be maybe the voice of reason. I'm not saying women are all voice of reason, but I'm just saying there might be the voice of reason saying, I don't think we should take that much risk, honey. I think we should really pay attention to our dynasty, our will, power of attorney, our living will. Let's pay attention to the investments. I don't want to take that much risk. And here's why. I remember in 1988, 89. I remember 1986. I remember 1990. I remember my grandma and grandpa in the year 1920, they were talking about 1929 to 1934. They have the memory of saying, I don't want to go down that road. I want to know that when I grab my keys to the RV and I'm traveling around, I want to know there's income coming in. I don't care if you make 20%, 30%. I want to know if I'm getting that steady stream of income like when you worked. This is retirement. When you put your head on your pillow, you wake up in the morning, you don't have to see CNBC or Fox or a Bloomberg. You can see the beautiful sky and everything God has laid out before us, the beautiful wilderness as you visit the wonderful United States of America. And as you travel, you focus on yourselves, not on the dollar. And this is enjoyable retirement, Alex.
Absolutely. And Scott, we're focusing on retirement challenges for women. Mentioned up front, women statistically outliving men by about 6 years. So this is something that you got to factor in when you're doing that retirement planning. And before a quick break, Scott, one more time, give that number out and encouraging folks to get a hold of you if they need you.
I'd love to speak to you guys. If you'd like to give us a call, I have a tremendous office. You will love our staff. Give us a call at 609-488-4646. Ask for Bonnie. She will make it happen. 609-488-4646. We get so many calls, Alex, because of the work you do, Alex, and your firm. You do a wonderful job help putting this together. But if you're out there and you have a question, don't put this on the shelf. Write your question down. Then call us at 609-488-4646 because those questions may go out of your mind, especially if you got dementia. So write them down now. How about that? And I can promise you we will have a nice discussion together.
Absolutely. And it's one thing to come up with how you would spend your perfect day in retirement, but what happens to that ideal day and those retirement plans when your spouse is also retiring? We're going to talk about that coming up. This is Financial Insanity with Scott McLean of McLean Advisory Group.
Who likes uncertainty? Wall Street certainly does not. With near record inflation and partisan politics, there's a lot of uncertainty right now. What will America's future look like? What will your future look like? Will your taxes go up? Will your savings go down? For more than 40 years here in the Jersey Shore area, Scott McLean and the team at McLean Advisory Group have seen uncertainty come and go. No matter what the future holds, Scott can help you create a plan designed to preserve your finances in uncertain times. And it's not a matter of if those uncertain times will show up, but when. Call 609-488-4646 now to meet with Scott McLean and the team at McLean Advisory Group. If uncertainty is causing you to feel insecure, Scott McLean might be able to help. Call 609-488-4646 and schedule your visit today. Again, that's 609-488-4646.
Investment advisory services are offered through Sound Income Strategies, LLC. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal.
Retirement planning, investment planning is a two-way street. It's got to meet. I need to understand the good, bad, and ugly you've been through so we can avoid those issues. This, to me, is very important.
We made it back. This is Financial Insanity with Scott McLean, presented by McLean Advisory Group.
Talking today about some of the unique challenges women face in preparing for retirement. Scott, I want you to listen to this and react here. GoBankingRates.com has a list of financial challenges women face in retirement. Gender pay gap is one. Historically and currently, women get paid less than men. That's an issue. Lack of financial confidence. Women tend to be more conservative, less confident about their financial experience and expertise. longer lifespans. We talked about that. Caregiving responsibilities. Women more likely to have to take some time off from their career or work to care for a loved one or raise children. And also greater financial fallout from divorce. Costly divorce can negatively affect a woman's ability to build a healthy long-term balance sheet after the marriage ends.
Real.
This is all stuff that I know experience over your time.
Alex, it is. And yes, women are living longer. That we know the statistics generally. And of course, by looking at I've also noticed the caregiving relationship. So many of our clients, the spouses will take care of their husband's mom or dad. They take off work. They lose their income. And they could be making a very substantial income, but the caregiving nurture of women, I guess that's where God put in their hearts. And I'm not saying men don't have it. I'm just saying women have this caregiving in their heart that I just don't have the patience for that. I mean, and I can tell you, I guess you can make fun of me, but boy, I see people take care of their husband's family members and then they have to sacrifice their retirement. This lovely couple came in and they said, Scott, do we have enough money to retire on? I said, well, tell me your situation. They tell me, oh, yeah. In my back of my mind, oh, this is a piece of cake. Yes. I said, is there anything outstanding in your life right now that you have to take care of? You have any special needs children, or maybe you have either one of your parents still alive and what's going on? And they say, well, yes, we're taking care of our father. Oh, and what does that look like? And then they go on. My brain starts calculating numbers faster than a calculator could ever go. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, we see a problem in Dodge as the space astronauts want to retire. Are they going to land safely or not? And so these questions are really important. So these women are really helping out, and men as well. But I guess the challenge is the fallout from divorce. You brought that up as well.
Yep.
And they don't know it. And all of a sudden they're in the middle of a divorce, or maybe the husband or the wife picks up and leaves. That changes everything. And no, people don't want to talk about it, but we need to talk about it. So usually when I'm meeting with the individual woman and didn't want to bring her husband in, or maybe the husband didn't want to bring his wife in, either one, I have to ask that question. Is everything going on at home? What's going on? See, it's not about money right now. It's about lifestyle, which ends up about money. And so I need to understand the dynamics. And this is where it's so important, Alex. We talk about the 3D approach, the dreams. Well, the dreams can turn to disaster if you're going through taking care of your mom and dad or your children. Could turn to disastrous by getting divorced. Or maybe one of you are starting to get Alzheimer or dementia. And maybe one of you have to change and stop work and start to retire sooner just to take care of your loved one. We have a beautiful client in Florida where she is retired. She was a airplane stewardess, lovely lady, and she actually took off her stewardess hat, and now she became a full-time caregiver of her husband. And you know what? Her whole life has changed. And she said, Scott, I didn't think it'd be like this, but it is. And I'm going to stay there. What amazing things out there. But again, so when we do a financial plan, I don't like financial plans that are specifically, here's a plan, follow it. Because you know what? Those things change so quickly. I think it needs to be a fluid financial plan because life has a way of changing quickly, abruptly, and sometimes very often very disastrously. And so how do we plan this out and give us our best? So I think this is really important when we think about the factors that women are facing.
Yep.
And because we want them to enjoy their lifestyle as well.
Yeah, and something we talked about earlier, Scott, as women, about 40% of women investors identify as beginners. And so I know you meet with these folks and you want to instill some confidence. Are there some things you can do to, kind of boost their financial confidence?
Yeah, there is actually. I don't need to talk at them or over their head. I know this business pretty well, Alex, but that doesn't mean they do. I don't need to show how fancy I am in my 3-piece suit, which I don't wear anymore, but I don't need to pull out my abacus and run numbers because they may not understand them. I need to relate to them and show them in writing the game plan. And so when the people come in with me, I actually go to my board and I put it in writing, right in front of them on writing. This is how it could work. This is what it looks like. Are you resonating with me? Do you understand? And then what I do, which is, I don't mean, and again, I always tell people I'm not demeaning you in any way. Can you repeat back what I just said to you? Can you tell me how this works?
Mm-hmm.
So I understand if I did a good job or a bad job. There's nothing worse than having a coach yell at you, but you don't know what the heck he's yelling at you for.
Sure.
This is not a time for a lecture. This is a time for a conversation because this is your life.
Absolutely. And Scott, you know that throughout the years that there's so many things that go into a comprehensive retirement strategy. And today we're focusing on challenges for women, but there are things for everybody out there. And for couples, things that you have to think about, especially when it comes to, hey, maybe I'm the person who is usually taking care of finances or maybe not. And so what does that mean if the other person were to pass away or otherwise be out of the picture? And so many things to think about. And then the unknowns, you make plans, God laughs, right? Because of anything that can happen. And so you know that as well. And so, Scott, it's really about people just saying, hey, I'm gonna get with somebody who can look at my situation, help map out a strategy, and so that maybe I feel a little bit more comfortable, or at least, you have another partner in the ride.
I think about when you said this is as you walk, the book I love reading, the walk through the valley of shadow and death, you fear no evil. Why? Because the rod and the staff, they comfort me. Well, I guess I'm asking those of you, who is your rod and staff? Who can you lean on who have been through this journey? Who has been there so that they may have to pick you up and help you through this challenging time? And they've been through this time and time again. They've helped hundreds and hundreds of people, and they can say, look, we've been there. We've helped people. We can walk you through it. And this is the game plan. How great would it feel? Almost like a flashlight in a dark hallway. Now the light turns on, even though you're not out of the hallway yet, or maybe out of the tunnel, or maybe in the valley. Do you have that rod and staff? Do you have that flashlight? Do you have someone you can lean on and say, you know what? I need to call Scott. I need to find out what the heck is he talking about. I need that rod and that staff or that flashlight to lean on to see if we're in a good position so I can take action. There's nothing worse than procrastination because that is the evil that lurks before us. We think we can do it on our own. Well, this is where giants stand on other giants' shoulders, Alex. And if you're out there and this is you, and you need that rod and that staff, you need that flashlight of hope or that guidance, please feel free to give our studios a call. We're here to help you. 609-488-4646. Now, what does that mean? You call me at 609-488-4646, and we'll have a nice conversation. I promise you, I will not try to sell you, beg you, or try to push anything on you. I need to understand your dreams, which will lead to your dollars, which could end in a wonderful dynasty, giving you the flashlight, the rod, the staff to go through this valley that you may be going through right now, and you just need some comfort. I'm here for you, 609-488-4646. Don't put it off. Love to hear from you.
That is Scott McLean, McLean Advisory Group. This is Financial Insanity, out-of-the-box thinking for your financial sanity.
Stop for a moment and think about this. Do you know how much money in your 401k or IRA is actually yours? Or will the government take a bigger chunk than you thought? Remember, you still might owe taxes on that money, but do you have a plan to help make sure you don't pay more than you should? At McLean Advisory Group, we believe you deserve to keep more of what you've earned, which is why we're here to help you navigate the confusing world of retirement taxes. It's your money. You deserve to know what's at stake. Right now, taxes are historically low, but they won't be this low forever. So call the McLean Advisory Group team today so you don't miss out on this opportunity. 609-488-4646. That's 609-488-4646. You work hard for your money. and we'll work just as hard to help you keep it. McLean Advisory Group, 609-488-4646. Investment advisory services offered through Sound Income Strategies, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisory firm. McLean Tax Advisory Group and Sound Income Strategies are not associated entities.
I call it the chicken and the egg. The chicken is the investment, the egg is the dividend. And so when the chicken pops out the eggs, if you don't need the money, let's reinvest the eggs and buy more chickens.
Man, that's just an excellent analogy, Scott.
This is Financial Insanity with Scott McLean, powered by McLean Advisory Group.
Veterans in this country that have sacrificed so much. Let's talk today about a program aiming to provide assistance to these veterans who need help with daily activities and medical expenses. This is Financial Insanity. I'm Alex Dingman, alongside Scott McLean, and a special guest today. We have former Chief Petty Officer Robert Brown, retired Navy for over 20 years, and now Robert is serving as a Veterans Service Officer for us now. And so very important, very special topic here today. Scott, thank you so much for bringing in Robert. Robert, first off, thank you so much for your service, and very excited to talk about a particular benefit today. And Robert, Scott, if you would maybe talk a little bit about how you guys got together, what's your quick history, and then if we could delve into that benefit.
It's funny because I got involved in this program, and one of our lawyers is a veteran receiving 100% benefit like Robert is. And Robert heard me, I guess, on the radio, one of our shows we did. And he came into my office. I heard you on the radio. What are you doing with veterans? And I thought it was someone trying to mess up the program, trying to drill me down. Do I know what I was talking about?
Right.
But frankly, Dave Conley mentioned to me, Scotty, you want to learn more about it? I said, well, there's a class out in Kansas City. I was going to go out there. It's like $2,500. I flew out there, took a course, and I added it to my financial planning program because of the unique benefits that veterans are unaware of, and spouses in New Jersey and several other states that could really help and benefit their estate. For example, if we're doing estate planning, I could actually really help prevent their money from going to the nursing homes. I call it the crows and the clowns show up at the funeral. And so in doing that, I actually started this program, and I came back, I was juiced up, and I said, I got to add this to my estate planning, which then goes into irrevocable trusts, special grantor trusts, and other types of special needs trusts. For this program, I merged it into my tax practice as well as my financial practice. Robert came in and drilled me down and wanted to know if I knew what I was talking about. And frankly, we hit it off pretty well. Is that right, Robert?
It is. It is. When I approached Scott, because of my experience as a veteran service officer, I asked him quite out. I said, Scott, what do you know about benefits? Because I'm the service officer. What I said, and if you think you know, then we're going to talk about this, because I need to test your knowledge and see if we can work together. So obviously, the match was made in heaven there, and we've been attached to the hip ever since with working with veterans for these disabilities that many people don't know about. So we're here to help explain that.
And we got together, and I guess it was 2008, Robert, and that's when we started this journey.
Yeah.
And the journey was not to make money out of this program, was to help our clients to avoid the estate taxes, estate planning, prevent the benefits from whittling down to the nursing homes, because the veterans and or their spouses have paid the price, Alex.
Yeah, and Scott McLean, like you mentioned, you opened up that Veterans Benefit Advisory Group back in 2008. Great passion you have for helping veterans and their spouses learn about these important benefits. And if you would, Robert, let's talk about the topic of the day here, VA's Aid and Attendance Pension Benefit. How does someone qualify for that, Robert?
Absolutely. Well, a couple of things. First of all, the veteran had to have served during a wartime in order to get any of these benefits. So I'm going to kind of give the big picture overview. If someone needs aid or attendance of some nature, that's what this plan is for. That's obviously the name of the title, but you have to prove and justify what aid or attendance you need in order to do that. So the first qualifying piece is the veteran have to have served during a wartime period for at least 1 day of active service, active duty, can't be National Guard or reserves, had to have been active duty and in a wartime situation, not necessarily at the war site, so to speak. World War II, you didn't have to be in Germany. You just had to be serving active duty. You could have been in Fort Dix.
So frankly, they could be, like you said, in Fort Dix. They would never have gone to Vietnam for our veterans, most of them veteran Vietnam and now Korea. The question is, they weren't there in country. They didn't have boots on the ground, but they could have been serving right here in at Lakehurst, and they still qualify for the benefits and their spouses.
That's right. That's right. So thanks for that little clarification. So initially, the veteran has to qualify before the veteran or the spouse or a child, because it's all three here, can get any benefits from the VA based upon the veteran's service. And that's where it begins, is qualifying for there. The person also had to have honorable discharge in order to get the benefit. If they were dishonorable discharge for some reason, then none of the family would qualify. So that's a qualifying situation. And then from there, what are those aid and attendance pension issues that you have? What are your disabilities? What are your aid issues? Do you need help in the home or financially or mentally, if you're in your own home, a nursing home, what have you? So there's a number of those.
So Alex, that's what's really important when you look at this. You have to ask, when I do the intake of people doing the financial planning, I actually ask them, did you serve? And they'll say yes or no. Great. When did they serve? Or listen to me. If you're listening to me right now and your mom or dad in the state of New Jersey, because I know this is aired across the nation, if you served, and each state's different, and you need assistance, perhaps in a nursing home, this is the aid and attendance pension benefit, that's the name of it, you may qualify for this great benefit that many people not even applying for or didn't know about. And then when you do your estate planning, your advisor should be aware of it. So this is where they should give our studios a call, Alex, at 609-488-4646, because this might be for you. It may not be for you. It may be for your parents. If you're taking care of your mom and dad and you're one of the veteran or the spouse served during this period of time, and we can help you more details. We won't get into the muck right now. This is not an excuse to put it off. This is an excuse not to put it off, but to take action, be proactive. 609-488-4646. We've been doing this for so long, helping people, give them the information they need to take action. And that's why I had worked with Robert, because A, he is 100% disabled veteran. B, his spouse is available for these benefits. And I thought, you know what, and there's nothing better than working with in not textbook theory, but real theory, Alex.
Yeah. Robert Brown, retired Navy, 20 years service. Very happy, appreciative of that service. Chief Petty Officer there in the Navy, Persian Gulf veteran, and now Veterans Service Officer. So continues to serve our great nation. Thank you so much. And I know one thing, Robert, that I think is important is that hopefully it's not overly complicated to apply, or at least to figure out how to apply. Robert, can you talk about that a little bit, the kind of assistance maybe for someone applying? Because that would be a concern about, is this going to be really difficult to
It is. Again, thank you for acknowledging my service. Definitely rewarding, and I appreciate it. And I guess now it's my time to give back after having served, to help those who have served but don't know about these benefits. So when it comes to aid and attendance pension benefit, first thing is do you need aid or attendance? That's a simple question. Do you need wheelchair? Do you need mobility devices? Are you incapacitated? Are you dementia? What's your medical status and mental status to determine that initial medical need? Secondly, it's a financial situation. Do you have assets? Do you not have assets? Where are we financially? Because it's also a financially driven qualifying program. So we need to look at that assets, and that's where Scott comes in and determines funding, how much the allocations we have, if we need to reallocate some funds or spend down some money to qualify. So it takes a little bit of financial awareness to see where we're at, and Scott does that with those irrevocable trusts, as you mentioned,
as well as legal, financial, and legal
issues too.
And the whole thing, Robert, also, if you get stuck in the muck by thinking the word aid and attendance pension benefit, most people relate to the word pension, that you got to be in the service for 20 years or 30 years to get a pension. But this is basically 90 days of serving in the military, and one of those days have to be during active war. So let's say you joined the military here in 1955, and you joined on January 30th. Well, the benefit ended on January 31st. So you kind of would have been right in there, even though you weren't over boots on the ground, but you had serve for 90 days. Go ahead, Robert, especially for those of you taking care of your mom and dad, you may not even be aware of this.
Yeah, and real quickly before Robert, I just want to make sure people know too, if you have any questions, 609-488-4646, 609-488-4646. Robert, please continue.
Okay, thank you. So really the overview is, do you have this need for aid and attendance to be taken care of? And if you do, let's look at the finances. If either you're within the financial range or not, and we could help determine that through Scott McLean's office here. So we do that, and then essentially what the bottom line is, the VA pays the recipient a financial amount of money, depending on the status, the marital status, the married vet, married and a spouse, alive, deceased, what have you. So depending on the situation, the VA will pay for your aid and attendance pension benefit. Again, pension meaning for the rest of your life, not having to serve 20 years in a service, but the pension becomes yours in the future for the rest of your life. And that's tax-free, by the way. For those that don't know, you don't even pay taxes on that money. You don't even talk about it when you talk about your accountant. So it's a nice benefit, it's obviously. So if you put taxes on there, you'd really be accumulating a lot more money in this pension benefit program.
Alex?
Yeah, and we got about 2 minutes left as we have a great guest on financial insanity today, out-of-the-box thinking for your financial sanity. And we have retired Chief Petty Officer from the Navy, Robert Brown, and he's currently Veterans Service Officer, talking about a great benefit for folks. And just a couple minutes left, what's important for people to know here as we discuss this today?
Well, the important thing is, number one, don't put this off. And Robert obviously knows how to do the paperwork. I as well know how to do it, but he is more very adequate at doing it. He's got 2 master's degrees. He's a brilliant gentleman, even though he's not as good looking as me. I can promise you that.
That's pretty tough.
But I will tell you, don't put this off if you're a veteran. If you're a veteran, the biggest important, Robert, I think, is the DD-214. That's the separation paperwork for those in the military from Korea on forward. And then it's called the separation paperwork if your parents are still alive during World War II. They didn't have a DD-214 at that time. They didn't call that number. They called it a separation form. But that's an important paperwork you got to dig up to talk about this program. Robert?
And then just to clarify some of the older vets that we're talking about, right now we have Department of Veterans Affairs, and we had or Department of Defense in this case on the DD, stands for Department of Defense, DD-214. Prior to the Department of Defense taking over the military, some of those older vets may know it as the War Department. Used to be called the War Department. So it's a WD form versus a DD form. Again, acknowledgement of their service discharge. Which records that. So again, based on what we're looking for, we need some of those to initially qualify the member as the veteran. The other thing is, I want to talk really quickly about how to get qualified. My uncle served in Vietnam during Agent Orange. He asked me for some help. He asked me that when I was still in the Navy. He just recently got awarded a back pay of $22,000 because of this benefit, but that's only a 1 year ago benefit, because we applied 1 year ago, and all those other 20 years he decided not to claim. You cannot get that. It's only from the date of application. So that's very important, is when do we start and when do we get acknowledgement?
So if you're out there and you're a veteran, there's more than the aid and attendance pension benefit. We'll talk about that in the next segment, because we're talking about the Agent Orange, Blue Water. We're talking about several things we've been helping people with, and Robert's been really instrumental in helping you, veterans or spouses, get a benefit that you don't know about.
Robert, thank you so much for being a guest today. And more importantly, thank you again for your service and your continued service for our country. Appreciate you.
You're welcome. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
And again, if you have any questions, 609-488-4646, 609-488-4646. And thank you to all of our great veterans who happen to be listening today to Financial Insanity, out-of-the-box thinking for your financial sanity. Scott opened up the Veterans Benefit Advisory Group in 2008 to help veterans and their families, guiding them to these important benefits. Again, that number, 609-488-4646. The number for Scott McLean, McLean Advisory Group, 609-488-4646. And again, a special salute and thank you to all of our veterans.
This radio program may contain information which has gone regulatory or other significant changes since its original recording. The information and views expressed on today's show is educational in nature and is not intended to be a recommendation for any specific investment, product, strategy, plan, tax, or legal advice. Information presented is believed to be factual and up to date, but we do not guarantee its accuracy. Investment advisory services offered through Sound Income Strategies, LLC, a SEC-registered investment advisory firm. McLean Advisory Group and Sound Income Strategies, LLC, are not associated entities.
This radio show is a paid placement.
Who likes uncertainty? Wall Street certainly does not. With near record inflation and partisan politics, there's a lot of uncertainty right now. What will America's future look like? What will your future look like? Will your taxes go up? Will your savings go down? For more than 40 years here in the Jersey Shore area, Scott McLean and the team at McLean Advisory Group have seen uncertainty come and go. No matter what the future holds, Scott can help you create a plan designed to preserve your finances in uncertain times. And it's not a matter of if those uncertain times will show up, but when. Call 609-488-4646 now to meet with Scott McLean and the team at McLean Advisory Group. If uncertainty is causing you to feel insecure, Scott McLean might be able to help. Call 609-488-4646 and schedule your visit today. Again, that's 609-488-4646.
Investment advisory services are offered through Sound Income Strategies, LLC. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal.